Peggy 16.
When you're trying to adapt a tabletop role-playing game to a video game, especially a tabletop game from the 80s, you have to make it current. You have to modernize it. You can't use the same old jokes. The detail, the terms that you use, the culture has changed. So we have to make sure that the humor was still there, but it was modern.
We worked with people like Gareth, and we also worked with another writer, Bill O'Day. He had written some of the Paranoia lore books as well. So in order to kind of maintain that feel that people and fans of the game kind of know and love, we worked with these guys to make sure that everything was in keeping with the world and the lore, so we didn't stray too far from it.
So when progressing in the game of Paranoia, players are going to start as a red clearance citizen, and their clearance is going to increase as a reward when they succeed missions in order to access new areas in the game. And they're also going to meet secret society.
Friend Computer is your friend. Friend Computer desperately wants to make your life better, to make you better, to make sure you're happy. It wants the best for you. But unfortunately, there are traders out there who are sabotaging things, and they must be limited.
In terms of adapting an RPG system, a tabletop system, to a video game, you have to do it very carefully. You can't just use the rule books as a template for your game design. We had to create something that was true to the chaotic, slapstick, ridiculous nature of the Paranoia.
Every level is created with intentions. Usually we have 3 pillars in the game: combat, dialogue, and what we call environment interaction, which mostly include hacking and crafting. And each level would be based on like these 3 pillars, sometime more on combat, sometime more on dialogue, and sometime more on crafting.
To get the feelings that the companions could betray you at any moment, we ended up with this system where basically during the missions, you're gonna have certain officers behaving very suspicious. So they're gonna go and try to do something, or they're gonna be putting you into a situation where it's kind of like gonna force you to commit some sort of treason. By doing that, they're actually going to, later during the debriefing, report you or not to Friend Computer. It all depends on your relationship with that officer.
The dialogue system we think is quite robust. We have lots of different options for the player. We really try to kind of give the player as much kind of ways to respond to conversations and interactions with players. In particular with Friend Computer, there's some great things in there. You can use your skills to get past certain puzzles, but it depends on whether or not you have enough skill points to do that.
What we wanted the player to experience during combat is chaos. They're barely in control, and they're adapting themselves, and we wanted the player to feel smart for adapting to all these crazy things that could happen at any moment.
The interesting thing about Paranoia is that it's basically everybody is forced to commit infraction in order to complete their missions. And if you commit too many infractions, you end up being fried, losing a clone. So that's not what you want, but still, if you want to progress, you have to commit infractions.
Your clones are a resource. When you clone, you can actually redistribute all your skill points. You can change the way that like your build is done.
Are you happy?
Of course I'm happy. Are people watching? Yes, I'm happy, Friend Computer.
Yes, of course I am happy. Happiness is mandatory.
I took my happy pills this morning, so yeah, I'm really happy.
Very much so. Very happy.